Welcome in, race fans, to another Sunday night production here on Faded TV at twitch.com and, of course, No Toad Racing League over on YouTube, whichever platform you're tuning in on. We certainly appreciate it here. No Toad Racing League Season 20. And tonight, it's the Cornfield Confusion 75, presented by Brian Cooper at the Iowa Road Course in the ARCA cars. Alongside Al, Corey, I'm Brandon Robinson, and Al, switching over from the seat to the broadcast booth here tonight. Of course, I appreciate you jumping in here, but if there's anybody that knows No Toad Racing League better than myself, it's certainly you. You've been with these guys for quite some time. What do you expect here tonight with Iowa Road Course?
Oh, thanks, Brandon. First, let me say thanks for letting me sit in for my iRacing broadcast debut, and it's real exciting to be up here with you. I'm expecting a pretty good race. This is a nice little course. The Iowa Road Course is like a mini Roval, I think. That's how I'd put it. And I'm expecting the road racers to shine. You know, the typical names we see doing well in the road races: Carnes, Gretsch, and Campbell. A couple of names that I'm keeping an eye on.
Yeah, and we take a look at the 47 of Skylar Carnes right now on a little bit of a roll, not just here on Sunday nights, but throughout iRacing as well. He certainly gets a lot of attention here on Sundays. But as we go through the times here in practice, we're getting ready to qualify here in a couple of minutes. Kyle Gretsch right behind Skylar with a 46.16. Matt Puricini second overall in the point standings. He's third. Ileana Hamilton, Al, having quite the season. Going to be up there in fourth with Tyler Merritt in fifth.
Yep, those are a couple of strong drivers. Hamilton is fairly new to NTRL, but he's come out with a bang and has raced really well when he's been able to race. And of course, Parasini, he's had a heck of a good run these last few races and the entire season, and he's chomping at the bit for first place in points. So he's got a lot riding on tonight as well.
Now, I do apologize to everybody watching at home right now. I forgot to switch my main monitors. So if the cars look just a tad bit squished, and in fact, I know my broadcast partner right now is not too pleased. We talked about this at the beginning of the season. I had finally found a good 19 by or 1920 by 1080. I forgot to switch that here tonight, guys. So please don't adjust your TV sets, your monitors, or your phone. That's my fault. But if we go back and switch it all now, we'd have to end the broadcast, and I don't think anybody wants to do that as we get ready to go into qualifying. So if you can deal with just a little bit of a squished resolution, I think we'll be able to make it through the Iowa Road Course. Of course, the pre-race coverage being brought to you by Precision Graphics. If you're looking for a paint scheme on your ARCA cars or your Cup cars, Xfinities, trucks, Legends, you name it, Sean Rutt over at Precision Graphics can take care of it for you. Use code FADEDTV for 10% off. Al, don't beat me up too much, okay? It's my first mistake in about 8 weeks, all right, Al? I think we can deal with it. But, you know, coming in, you mentioned it, your debut here as an iRacing broadcaster here. Of course, you can't get any experience unless you do take that plunge into here. So is this something that you've been wanting to do for a little bit of while, or did Sarge kind of hit you up and say, hey, I need you in the booth, man?
No, it's something I've wanted to do for a long time, and your broadcasts have been so terrific, and definitely letting you off the hook for the squished screen. As great as these broadcasts have been, we can overlook that. No, it's a great opportunity to sit in the booth with you and look at this race from on high. Everybody in the league knows me and knows that I am not fond of road racing, so this seemed like the perfect week for me to sit up here with you.
Yeah, and of course, I'm the exact opposite. I love road course racing. I love stock cars on the road course racing. I've said it before. There's a series across the seas. It's called the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, and that's all they do is race stock cars on road courses. Now, I will say, Al, as much or as fond as I am of road course racing, I'm not a huge fan of the ARCAs on road course racing. They can be a tough car. Everybody knows ARCA brake weekly. These brakes on the ARCA, there's not a whole lot that has gone into the technology of the ARCA car over the years.
No, and in fact, the geometry of the ARCA car is set up specifically for ovals. And what we find the struggle is when you throw it onto a road course, even with a road course setup, it just doesn't want to take those right-hand turns. So it's a real struggle, and the cars are just super hard to control on throttle because they've got a lot of horsepower for a very light car. Now, there's some guys here that will swear that they're great for road racing, and you'll see them near the top, and I think that's a lot to do with attitude. And my attitude stinks about road courses, so I think that's why I don't do very well.
It's a whole different monster too. I mean, switching over from oval racing 99% of the time, and every once in a while that road course comes in there. Even if you spend a couple of days on there, if you're not too comfortable with road courses, or let's say, for example, and this isn't a knock on anybody out, we all start somewhere, everybody's got a budget, but when you go from oval racing to road racing, not just the equipment in the simulator that we refer to as far as tires and taking care of your equipment, but outside, the physical equipment in your rig, the pedals, the steering wheel, the force feedback, that's when that all really starts to come into play when you take a stock car and put it on a road course.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. I think you'll find that some of these guys who have better setups will do well on the road courses. I still think that there's those select few who could race on a tabletop and do well. And I think you're going to see drivers like Hamilton and Carnes and hopefully Brugg. You're going to see them again because those guys just know how to wheel a car.
Yeah, Johnny Brugg in the one car making a return here tonight. I was so excited last week, Al. He DM'd me on Discord, and I really hadn't realized I was putting an S on his last name. I kept calling him Bruggs. And being a nice guy that he is, he let it slide for about 7 or 8 weeks. He finally reached out and said, "Hey, man, I love what you're doing, but can you please stop putting an S at the end of my name?" So I was so excited last week, but he wasn't here. So I still threw in Brugg a couple of times, talked about him a couple of times last week. He is here tonight, so he will be able to hear it. The number one car, Johnny Brugg.
Bruggs Bunny, it is.
There it is. I don't know if he'll be too fond of that. As we take a look at the time so far, of course, Al, these guys having a little bit of an additional time to get the qualifying done. So we're right under that 6 minute mark, but no surprise up top. Skylar Carnes in the 47, I think, comes in as the race favorite pretty much every week, not just on the ovals, but specifically on these road courses as he tackles these with such skill and elegance. It's no surprise to see him up there on the top.
No, he just beat his practice time by 2/10, and that's pretty scary for the rest of the field, I'd say.
Yeah, and as you guys see it there on the tower to the left, a 45.83. I think that shows. My iRacing live timing shows a 45.84. So apparently he's even beating his own time on the SDK iRacing live timing. Ileana Hamilton, 72. We talked about that driver really coming on as of late. Michael McCuskey in third, Matt Puricini in fourth, John Campbell so far in qualifying fifth. Al, how do you think this lineup looks? Is there any surprises up here on the road course?
Well, I'm a little surprised that we haven't seen a time registered by Dixon or Brugg yet, because both those guys are really strong on road courses. And based on what I saw in this week's practice, you definitely want to start near the top of the grid if you can. Passing's difficult. So I am a little surprised that we haven't seen Dixon qualify or Brugg register a time yet.
Yeah, and I think you brought up actually a good point as we do have the track map up on the broadcast for people to say it. It does kind of remind you of a miniature Roval out there, of course, being stuck here in Iowa and it being the Cornfield confusion, maybe not as appealing as the Roval. It certainly doesn't get the hype, but if you look at the track map, certainly a reminder, these guys really only have to deal with one tough part of the course there, Al, but it looks to be the last part of the course when you start getting onto the infield of this track.
Yeah, that entry onto the road course portion of the track is going to be critical. I've seen most of the passes happening on the oval portion of the track, and then on that entry to the road course portion, you're going to see some hard braking and guys out braking to get into that corner first. So, it's really a slow infield course compared to like other rovals like Charlotte or Daytona. It's not that speed, but it's got the same kind of layout on the infield. So we'll see what happens, but it's a quirky little track for sure.
Yeah, and of course, what Al's talking about is you making your way through 1 and 2, and then you have that long backstretch that sort of kinks there going into turn 3, and that's when you have the sharp left-hander, almost two left-handers there before you get into the infield. So yeah, that's a really good point. That's going to be a part of the track that these drivers need to be focused on. It's a part of the track that we will emphasize here on the broadcast, try to get some good shots of that camera angle wise, because you're absolutely right. That's probably going to be the toughest turn for a lot of these guys who are still trying to mold themselves into a road course a ringer. So good point there. You see the rest of the track. Once you get out of that infield, you're right back onto the front stretch across the start-finish line. 2 minutes, 10 seconds left. I don't think these times are really going to change a whole lot. Al, it looks like Skylar Carnes going to be sharing that front row with Ileana Hamilton. Alrighty, so as we get ready to go here at the Cornfield Confusion 75, of course, shout out to my broadcasting partner here tonight for making all the logos and the pretty much the race commercials as well, the intro videos. We got a race sponsor video now that we can play anytime that we want to. During the broadcast, we'll wait for, well, there's going to be no cautions here tonight, so we'll actually have to play some ads under green flag conditions, but that'll be fine. That'll give us a break and you guys at home as well to be able to get up and, go get a refreshment or what have you. But yeah, that's right. Road course racing, the most that you're ever going to get, especially in iRacing League, stock cars are local cautions, but that still isn't going to stop the race. So, Al, as soon as the green flag drops here, we're going all the way to that checkered flag.
Oh, I'm real excited to see it. And look, that top drivers on this grid are really going to be able to push the rest of the field. I just want to mention McCuskey. He's a real fast driver. He has sometimes trouble finishing races, but boy, is he fast on track. And I want to give a shout out to John Campbell, also known as JC, racing from Australia and longtime vet. And boy, is he smooth on road courses. So keep an eye on the 117 Krispy Kreme car.
Yeah, speaking of keeping your eyes on specific drivers, Skylar Carnes, Johnny Brugg, Tyler Merritt, and Jaden Constark will be running a special paint scheme here tonight in support of a friend who has stage 4 cancer. The friend's gamer name is Shadow Girl Star. So, of course, here at Faded TV and No Toads Racing League, we wish you nothing but the best as you take the fight to the stage 4 cancer. Now, qualifying is done. You guys see the time limit there. I like to start out with you guys knowing it's an hour and 55 minutes for these guys to get this done, which, of course, Al, shouldn't be an issue with not having any cautions that are going to slow us down and these guys racing. There's no stages here. You see the lap count, 58. So I think time-wise, we're going to be just fine.
Yeah, shouldn't be an issue at all. And just a heads up, we should be looking for pit stops for fuel somewhere around 30 to 35 laps, depending on how far they want to go on tires. But that pit window will open probably around 25, but I would expect to see guys in at 30.
Beautiful, beautiful information there. As we go over the race grid here, Al, I'll do 1 through 10. Why don't you pick it up after that? Right now, the pole sitters, Skylar Carnes, Ileana Hamilton sharing that front row, Michael McCuskey in third, Matt Piracini in fourth, John Campbell, JC as he's known as, in fifth, Kyle Gretsch, who was high in the practice times, I think second or third in qualifying, drops all the way down to sixth, Jacob Klinkart seventh, Tyler Merritt in eighth, Jason Benson in ninth, and Scott Kelly rounding out the top 10.
Yep, and following through 11th, we've got David Rhodes and Sid Kashishian, Gary Sargent, good old Sarge, running there in a good spot, Brandon Ward, Jaden Constark, Will Jester, a fellow admin for the NTRL series, and John Crutchley, the 48.
Alrighty, you see these guys still on pit road, and we are at a road course. Al, look out, a rare sighting here. We actually have the iRacing Porsche here tonight leading these guys out.
Very nice to see. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, nice little touch there. Usually we have the big old Chevrolet truck and sometimes a Mustang's thrown in there every once in a while, but these guys being let out here onto the track in that Porsche safety car. We'll do one out lap. There is Skylar Carnes, two-time NIL champion, one-time Norse Force Truck Series champion. He's out of the Tri-Cities, Tennessee. Ileana Hamilton there in second from Griffith, Indiana. Not too far from where I'm at. He's in the 72 Dr. Disrespect black and red paint scheme. Matt Piracini there again, third, with Michael McCuskey in fourth with the 24. That's William Byron, right?
That's right. I did want to just quickly call out for Wednesday's practice. We saw the typical guys up front like Kyle and Skylar, but I did notice that Gary Sargent was in the top 5 in the practice race for speed. So keep an eye on him too. He might be making his way up.
Yeah, and starting 13th here, Al, as you know, and something that I express all the time on these road courses, especially with oval drivers who are trying to make the adjustment here. Skylar Carnes takes the green flag, a huge jump in front of the 72 car. We'll go down into turn 1 and out of turn 2, but starting back in 13, it's really not that much of a sweat because, Al, you know there's going to be those free passes. There's going to be those opportunities that somebody makes a mistake in front of you, they go off track, and you're just driving on by.
Yep, it looks like the 53 is already in a little bit of trouble.
That's Tyler Merritt. Let's go back and take a look at that. Yeah, he is in some trouble there. Cutting the course a little bit, too. He's probably going to have a slowdown. Jacob Klinkart, Jason Benson behind him. We'll see if that 53 does. He should have a slowdown. We'll see if he decides to drop down low here and do it. Yep, there it is, Al. He's going to come at least to as much of a complete stop as he can and be able to not get that black flag.
Yeah, and one of the things to keep an eye on is that entry onto the oval portion of this track. It's a really tough entrance, so keep an eye on that for guys to make time and lose time.
As Skylar makes his way through that difficult turn we were talking about, Ileana Hamilton being able to keep pace right there behind him, keeping it with under a second. Now, we're going to keep this track map up all night long so you guys watching at home can see just how spread out this field's going to get. We did a road course. Well, we've done 2 of them, Al. We've done the Laguna Seca, and I think I wasn't there for that, but you guys did Daytona road course as well, correct?
Yep, that's right. There's been this is the 3rd road course we've run this season.
So Skylar Carnes looking to three-peat as far as the road courses go, but being that it is a smaller road course, Al, you can already see it on the track map. The Skylar Carnes, Ileana Hamilton, some of these drivers, Michael McCuskey as well, Matt Piracini, because there's no cautions, these guys are going to pick up this lap traffic pretty quick.
Yeah, as much as they spread out here very quickly, it's what we saw in practice. It gives an opportunity to pick up some spots. I see that Brugg is on track, and he's already starting to pick up some spots.
As we hop on the 34 car here, let's rewind this. I wanted to see, I thought there was contact, and there was. The 21 car getting onto the left corner panel of the 34, so that's going to send Scott Kelly down 10 spots. He drops all the way back to 20th. That was David Rhodes in the 21. They got into him, so already some guys maybe corner bombing a little bit. Of course, unintentional, Al. These guys are trying to figure out their braking zones, getting some heat on their tires and their brakes. But so far, I'd say so good.
Yeah, we avoided a big pileup in the first entry to the road course portion of the race, so that's good. And we're starting to see some spots picked up, and we're starting to see the field start to spread out, and that's good news for racing.
Yeah, it really is, and of course it's good news for Skyler and Ileana as we check in on the 22 car. Michael McCuskey, he's in third along with Matt Piracini in fourth. Matt trailing Skyler in the overall point standings, but you know, Al, all things considered, I don't know if anybody was going to catch the 47 car. Matt Piracini really putting on a tough season so far.
Yeah, he hasn't made it a secret that he wants to try to run for this championship and take it away from Carnes, who's obviously the front runner right now. And he's had, I believe, 5 podiums and I think 7 top 10s, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, really good campaign this season. Of course, Skyler has his eyes set on the road to pro next season, and I know he's got the whole team of No Tone Racing League behind him on that as he ventures out. But you know, it's not like this has been all about Skyler Carnes. Yes, he's up there in points. He's won a lot of races. But I can tell you, Al, the one thing that I've enjoyed the most about my Sunday nights and booting up the No Toad Racing League is you guys have been racing together for a long, long time. And even though you've brought in some new additions to this season, the racing has been really A1 so far this season.
Well, that's great to hear, and I would agree with you. Even as we've expanded with our driver lineup in the last few seasons, we brought on some terrific guys, terrific human beings, and some really good racers. So the No Toad League is strong, and we appreciate that.
Speaking of good drivers, we're focusing on the one car here of Johnny Brugg. And Al, you talked about it in qualifying sessions, some of these guys not being able to put down a lap, whether it be they decided not to, or maybe they got a 1X out there, which voided the lap. But right now, Johnny Brugg inside the top 10. He's climbed up 10 spots.
No surprise to anyone who's raced with this guy. He finds a way to the front of the field week after week, any race he's in.
Behind him, Jaden Consterk up 4 spots in the 11. One of those drivers we talked about, rocking that paint scheme, supporting their friend Brandon Ward up 2 spots in 12th. Gary Sargent in that 28th spot. You know, Al, I've talked to him a couple of times about this Jacksonville Jaguar paint scheme, and as he's spins around there a little bit, tries to get out of the way, I can't knock him. The Jacksonville Jaguars beating the Buffalo Bills today. I don't know who would have called that, so I think just for another week, I'll cut him some slack on the paint scheme.
Well, that's good, but he's making me look bad because I called him out as being fast in practice, and he's dropping like a stone right now.
Yeah, back 3 spots. He's down to 16th. He was doing pretty good until we put the camera on him. I don't know if maybe he's listening to us and he had to go look over on his second or third monitor to see what we were talking about. But as soon as we focus on him, he spins out there a little bit. Now, a decent recovery. He doesn't get any damage on his car. He didn't really affect any of the other drivers behind him. So he's just going to slide back to 16th and stay tucked in there for a little while, Al.
Yeah, he'll keep plugging away. I'm looking at Carnes' time right now, and going back to the 5th place car, he's already gained over 10 seconds on the 5th place position. So he's hauling around this track as he seems to every week.
Yeah, and here's what I talked about a little bit earlier there. Skyler almost taking it 3 wide through this part of the course because it being such a short road course. As the 51 car goes around, he was trying to avoid the leader Skyler and just got into the grass there, but already making their way through lap traffic. And Al, you know this more, just as good as anybody else. These cars, as soon as you get an inch of tire onto the grass, it's like driving on ice.
Oh yeah, forget about it. It's almost impossible to recover from getting your tires on the grass on these cars, and If you ever take a trip through the infield at a 1.5 mile course, you'll certainly learn your lesson there. So these are tough cars. If they get off track, you're in real trouble. So I think a lot of guys will be running conservative. I think that's why we're already seeing some lap traffic. But the fast guys keep it on the track, right?
Absolutely. We saw, or you guys didn't see, but I saw Sid Kashishian took a toe to the pits. We're going to go back and take a look at a replay here and see just what happened with this 19 car rocking an old school Slim Jim paint. He's in the 19, and there it is, Al, touching that grass just a little bit. You see the rear end go around, and it's hard to recover there, but I'm still waiting to see. Okay, he continued to struggle there into the sand, almost going backwards on the course, and unfortunately having to take the toe to pit road.
That's a tough break for Naj. He's a good driver, and I don't know how much he enjoys road course racing, but that's a tough break to have to take a toe at this point.
Yeah, and another driver as well, obviously not here tonight, but another driver who's really had his name broadcasted out here quite a bit through this season. He's had a good run so far. He's up there in the point standings, but unfortunately, I think you're right. Maybe road course, maybe not his forte. He's going to take it to the pits, probably go a lap or two down. Actually, it's 4 laps down. So not a good start here, but I'm sure either he's going to just sign off on the simulator altogether, or maybe Al, he's just taking a deep breath and he's going to head back out.
Well, I hope he makes it back on track, but tough break for him for sure. I'm having a quick peek at the top 5. It looks pretty steady with Carnes, Hamilton, Parasini, McCuskey, and Campbell. Again, though, there's a 12-second, almost 13-second gap from the leader back to 5th. So I'm afraid if the race keeps going this way, everyone's going to be racing for second.
Yeah, and Tyler Merritt also in here as he almost gets into the back of the 117. Good car control there to be able to hit those brakes, not get into the 117. The 117 struggling there a little bit. Tyler tries to get on the inside. I don't think he's going to have the momentum to make it out of there. The 117 of John Campbell, that is. And now we go 3 wide through the front stretch down into turn 1. This is still part of the oval course here, and we got a nice little race for 5th place. And it looks like the 53, though, locking up the brakes. That's going to allow the 117 car to be able to slide back into that 5th spot. So as those guys jockey for position, the 22 car of Michael McCuskey, who at one point was bumper to bumper with those guys as he looked in his rear view, has found himself a little bit of a cushion, up 4 seconds on John Campbell.
Yeah, I'm pulling for Mike. Like I said, he's a real fast driver, a real good guy, and I'd like to see him get a good finish here tonight.
Matt Piracini still holding down that 3rd spot. He's got about 6.5 seconds over Michael McCuskey. 4.5 seconds in front of him, Ileana Hamilton, as he makes his way through some more lap traffic. The 00 car of Alex Goff, making sure he's got plenty of room. Now, Ileana, the last time we were up front, he was pretty close with Skyler. And Al, you pointed it out. Skyler's starting to run away with this race, and when he tends to do that, it's very, very hard to catch him. And of course, as we talked about it here on the road courses, there's no cautions.
Yeah, I mean, the rest of the field just has to hope something like a bad corner or maybe a pit road speeding penalty, something to bring him back to the rest of the field. Somebody to keep an eye on right now is number 5, Jacob Klinkart. He's moved up to the 6th position or 7th position. I know he's pushing John Campbell right now to take over that spot. So keep an eye on the number 7 car.
Yeah, and of course the 53 right there in front of the 117. So Al, while they were fighting for position there, that's only allowed the 5 car of Jacob, the 42 of Jason Benson, and of course Johnny Brugg trying to get back up there as well.
Nice to see Jason Benson making a run here on the road course. He's a strong driver week in, week out. He doesn't always get the results, but he did snag a 1st place earlier this season, which I think was his first points race in NTRL win, so good for him. But it's good to see him running near the front of the field. Hope he keeps it together.
A good run by the 5 of Jacob Burkhart. Tyler Merritt now in the 53 trying to hold him off. He's had some struggles here, Al, the 53 car, going from the oval portion of the track down to where it really begins that tiny little road course, and that's what we were talking about. Guys are coming in with a lot of momentum on that backstretch. It's hard to get these ARCAs to slow down.
Yeah, and that's where you're going to see the under-braking come through. You're going to see guys who can manage that car into that high-speed braking zone into the road course portion. That's where you're going to see a lot of passes happen.
This is No Toad Racing League celebrating their 20th season together. Cornfield Confusion 75, presented by Brian Cooper alongside Al Corey. I'm Brandon Robinson. And Al, behind the scenes a little bit, what does it take for a league to be 20 seasons strong?
Stubbornness, I guess. I'm not sure what held us together for so long. We did take a break for a few years. I think we sort of played out the NASCAR 2003. We did every mod that was available, but we did take a break for a few years, and give full credit to Sarge for pulling this all back together. We ran, I believe, 2 seasons in NASCAR 2003, in 2019, 2020. My memory's not great, but I'm going by what I remember. And then a few of us were in iRacing, and I sort of started nudging Sarge about moving NTRL to iRacing, and we did that a couple of seasons ago, and we started recruiting, and really it's the momentum of the individuals that come into the league that drives it all. I mean, yeah, we put the events on, and we do our best to keep everything in going in the right direction, but it's the enthusiasm of the drivers to be part of a league and to race every week against the same guys. That's what keeps the whole thing running. So full credit to all of these great drivers and great people who are part of the league.
The 48 car of John Crutchley up 5 spots in the early going. He's found himself up in the 12th position. Will Jesser right behind him, following in his footsteps, up 3 spots to 13th. Gary Sargent, who had dropped to 16th, now trying to make sure he stays out of the way of the 47 of Skylar Carnes, has bounced back a little bit. He's found himself up in 14th. And now you talked about it a little bit. Here on the Iowa road course, because the way this track is set up, once these guys start spreading out like what we have, it's going to be really, really hard to track down that car in front of you and make a pass.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised to see how much the cars still are bunched up in spots. I would have thought by now we would have seen them more spread out, but I think that'll happen more and more as we go along, and it has started to happen. But we're still seeing a couple of packs, especially around that 5th place position. There's some lap traffic and some guys fighting for positions, so it's pretty exciting down there right now.
Yeah, in that 5th spot, it's still being held down by John Campbell. Jacob Burkhart right here in 4th. We've been spotlighting him here for the last couple of laps. He's on a pretty good run. Michael McCuskey there in the 22 car, starting P3, and that's where he sits. Ileana Hamilton starting P2, that's where he sits. And, of course, Skylar Carnes, the leader. We're going to take this time in the race to go back and take a look at some of these off tracks and some of the cars coming up in red. And of course, this isn't to belittle anybody, but we got to keep the guys at home up to date on all the action here. You see the 74 car just coming in a little too hot, locking up the brakes. That happened right in front of Gary Sarge on lap 18. And really, you know what, Al, if I'm being completely honest, and everybody at home, I'm going through my iRacing live timing, and there really isn't a whole lot of off tracks. I think everybody's been able to kind of keep their car on the track this week.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's partially because the infield portion of the course is pretty slow as compared to a lot of other road courses. Like, there's these hairpin turns and these tight lefts and rights, and you really can't open it up. So I think most of the incidents we've seen have been guys overestimating braking points of the car in front of them and tapping the rear bumper. But I think the slow speeds, as I say that, I see one car cutting the course, but I think the slow speeds have kept people on the track.
Yeah, what we just saw there was actually Jacob Klinkhardt, who was on such a good run, unfortunately getting on the shoulder there. He spun out, so he went from 4th to 8th. He just got a spot back from Jason Benson. He's up in 7th. The 22 car of Michael McCuskey, who was 3rd, he goes for a little bit of a spin, so that opens the door for JC John Campbell in the 117 to take that 3rd spot.
Yeah, and I think this is what you're going to see throughout the race. You're going to see little mistakes by guys who are overdriving or overcorrecting on a turn, and you're going to see these little mistakes that are really going to cost or open up an opportunity for somebody else. So I think you really need to keep your eye on anybody in that top 10 right now. I think that's your winner's going to come from that top 10.
David Rhodes in the 21 is gatekeeping that 10th spot. Matt Piercini, unfortunately, down 7 spots. He drops to the 11th. But back up here with David Rhodes, he's found himself up 1 spot there in 10th, trying to track down Kyle Gretsch, who's down 3 spots. He's sitting in 9th. In a fitting paint scheme here tonight. He's got the corn on instead of the Napa. It seems like, I think Kyle Gretsch always has the old school Napa symbol, but he always has a twist on it, Al. It's something I look forward to every week.
Yep, he's very active with the paint schemes, no doubt. I've been trying to keep an eye on Piercini to find out what happened to him, because he was running right near the top there, but I haven't been able to spy it.
Yeah, and he's right there with Skylar Carnes. Doesn't look like he's making it very easy right now for the leader as they come through. Well, I was going to guess what turn that was number-wise, but I'm not even going to throw it out there. But as they make their way through the infield portion of the track, you see the 24 car fighting to not go a lap down right now to Skylar Carnes, and so far successful.
Yeah, well, I think Piercini just pitted. I think I was going through the replay real quick to see if we had an on-track incident with him, but I could not find one, so I believe he's pitted. As I mentioned, the pit window probably opened around lap 25, so he may have been the early taker to pit road.
Yeah, and you were spot on with that. As I take a look at some information here, Kyle Gretsch, Tyler Merritt, and you're right, Matt Piercini, and Skylar Carnes has already come down pit road as well. Johnny Brugg, Klinkhardt, pretty much the whole crew coming down here, lap 24, lap 25, and so on. So a pretty good call there by Al up here in the booth, predicting that pit window, as the majority of these cars have come down, and that's why you see Skylar, who's still in the lead, by the way, even after pitting. I mean, he had such a big lead, Al, that coming down pit road for those 12 to 13 seconds really didn't have any effect on that.
Boy, I'm really surprised that he was able to basically almost lap 2nd or 3rd place there, wherever Piercini was running at the time. That really surprises me. I did not anticipate that he would be able to pit and almost lap the field, so that's impressive.
We got John Campbell and James Lawson, I think, wrapped up in something here. The 117 on the inside of the 66, locking up the brakes. It looks like, oh, and there's the contact right there. Unfortunately, the 117 car, after locking his brakes, just got full send on the throttle there, which sent him around. He got into the side of the 66 car of James Lawson. You see James still struggling to get back on track there. So some front end damage, though, some pretty hefty ones too. These guys, I believe, Al, one fast repair, correct?
Yep, that's right, one fast repair. And looking at that incident with Campbell, it looked like he had pretty much cleared Lawson, and I'm not sure if he got on the throttle too quickly and spun him around. That's unfortunate. I know Lawson works very hard to stay out of the way of the leaders. He's a fairly new driver, still learning his racecraft, and we like to see him on track, and it's a shame that he got involved.
Ileana Hamilton still sitting there in second place, fitting, as he has the two-time paint scheme. Michael McCuskey still third. Johnny Brugg, Al Corey, 16 spots for the one car inside the top 5, battling it out with Jacob Clinker.
What did I tell you? That guy comes from the back, race after race, and finds his way to the front. And if anybody's got anything for Carnes, it's going to be him. But with 30 seconds, I think he's currently 30 seconds behind Skyler. It's going to take a mistake by Carnes to get Brugg back in this race.
Yeah, he's 32 seconds off Skyler Carnes, 22 seconds off Ileana Hamilton. He's got Michael McCuskey only about a second in front of him. So Johnny right now could still place in the podiums, but you're right. I think trying to get a 31-second lead down is going to be impossible no matter who's behind the wheel. But nonetheless, 16 spots being gained here, and Jacob sticking right there on the pace. I mean, you know, you talked about it, Skyler Carnes and Johnny Brugg. Oh, no, what happened with the 5 car? Looks like, okay, pit road, excuse me, chat. But Jacob having himself a heck of a night.
Yeah, for sure. Good to see Jacob running up there to the front. Looks like Benson was able to get by him right now, but I guess that's because of the pit. I don't know if Benson has pitted yet. I don't have that information.
Well, one person we do know who's pitting, the 5 car of Jacob Klinkert. Skyler Carnes coming down pit road again. Ileana Hamilton as well. So the leader decides to come down, Ileana as well. Let's check in with Ken Olsen. He pops up into the red here in his 51 Chevrolet, coming down off that oval part of the track, down into that turn that we talked about. This is where a lot of drivers have struggled, and it looks like he might get a push from the 22. No contact there. Still waiting for why he showed up in the red. Maybe there's an off track there, but nothing serious. A good job for the 51 car to realize he was in a little bit of trouble and to be able to make it out of that section cleanly.
Yep, that's a great job by him, and can confirm that both Benson and Campbell have both pitted.
So after the pit stops, Ileana Hamilton drops back to 5th. David Rhodes now in the 21 car in 4th. Michael McCuskey still staying strong. He's got his 22 car locked in to that 3rd spot. Johnny Brugg in the 1 car, and Al, he's only 1.3 seconds behind race leader Skyler Carnes.
What has happened to Carnes that allowed Brugg to get that time back?
Well, I think Skyler came down twice into pit road. He came down.
So was that the speeding penalty? Was that the speeding penalty I was predicting?
It very well could be, because Skyler came down right at around lap 25, 26, if I recall, and I think he stayed out as long as he could. I believe it's 3 laps that you get on that black flag before you have to come down, and I think that's exactly what happened. So, Al, here on lap 32, Skyler has some competition. The 1 car, Johnny Brugg, tracking him down.
Well, that's going to make for a much more exciting race, so I say bring it on.
Absolutely. Sometimes in these road course races, you know, there's not a whole lot of action going on. We can call a couple of little, races that are going on for mid-pack. Skyler's been so dominant here, but and now, unfortunately, though, as we talk about that, Johnny Brugg has to come down pit road. So the excitement has came and gone, Al.
It was short-lived, Brandon. Very short-lived.
Matt Piercini in the 24, about 0.8 behind Ileana Hamilton. And unfortunately, with Johnny Brugg coming down pit road, that leaves Skyler Carnes once again up front all by himself. He's got a close to double-digit lead over Ileana Hamilton as far as seconds go, right there with about 9.8 seconds going down out of this front stretch here. So right now it's really going to take a not just a mistake, but I mean it's going to take a big mistake for Skyler Carnes to lose this race.
Well, we may have already seen one, and the race isn't over. So let's hope that we get some good racing down here to the end. I see Piercini's back up in 3rd place. Good to see him on a recovery. That's great news for him, because I know he's looking for a good result.
And it looked like as soon as the 21 car of David Rhodes was starting to get on a good groove, he actually spins out right there in the middle of the infield portion of this. So he's going to drop from 9th to 10th. Michael McCuskey in his 22 AAA Chevrolet going to come down pit road along with, well, it looked like David Rhodes might have been coming down, but he decides to stay out. So Michael McCuskey coming down pit road, that's going to surrender that 9th spot. He's going to fall through a little bit. John Crutchley in the 48 car. He's up 5 spots, sitting there in 12th. Will Jester, 13th. Gary Sargent still looking to recover from that early race spin out that he had. Brandon Ward, top 15. And, you know, I'm going to tell you right now, Al, and the guys that are watching at home, from that very first road course that I was able to call. Remember, I missed Daytona road course. I was down in Bristol watching the IRL NASCAR. This has been totally different than Laguna Seca. I mean, the amount of skill on road course racing by all these drivers has really stepped up.
Well, I think that's a result of running 3 in one season. That's a high number for this league. We don't usually run this many road courses, but there was an attempt to balance out the schedule, which was road course light last season, and so I think that's why we ended up with 3 on the schedule. So I think the guys have got more and more comfortable with it. I wasn't at Laguna. I didn't race it, but I watched the highlights of that. Very, very tough track. I would think that this track is a breath of fresh air and feels a lot easier to these guys than Laguna Seca did.
Fortunately, I do believe we have some drivers out of this race. Goff, Kashishian, you see Hansen, and Dixon. Dixon might be doing race control. Of course, we see Corey's name up there. He just, last minute, he was going to race here tonight, guys. He had put in some practice sessions. He was in, ready to go. No, that name does not matter. He's out there on the track, but he's up here in the booth with us, which I think right now, Al, the ticker is showing us 7 cars on the lead lap.
That's amazing, and that just goes to show you the differences in times based on when people pit, because I think the early pit window probably helped these guys out, although I'm looking at Benson and Campbell, who are both up there in the top 6, 5 and 6 right now. They pitted quite late, so they may be in a good position, although who they're racing against in front of them, some pretty tough customers, so I'm not sure what gains they might make. But great to see JC and Benson up there near the top of the standings.
Yeah, and as we talk about John Campbell, here comes Skylar Carnes. He's going to put him a lap down, so that leaves 6 cars on the lead lap. Next, it's going to be the Stay Puft driver, Jason Benson, in 6. So Skylar definitely in a groove here at the Iowa road course. Oh, and there's the 42 car going around. He's got to be careful. Nice job locking the brakes, making sure he didn't go back out there on the track to interfere with Skylar Carnes and the other drivers. So, and that's one thing I've seen with this league in particular as well, Al. A lot of these guys, they make a mistake, but they know how to clean it up.
Well, it's one of the things we preach a lot about racing with the NTRL is respect for your fellow drivers. You have to race these guys week in and week out. You get to know them pretty well. Nobody wants to make an enemy on track, so we preach that pretty hard. Is if you're in trouble, car control first. Don't get into more trouble and put somebody else into your mess. So that's something that we work on a lot as a league, and I think it pays off.
With 20 laps to go, we are going to take a short commercial break and send it over to Makoni Setup Shops.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. There's a reason that Makoni Setup Shop is trusted by more virtual and real-world tracks and companies than any other setup shop in iRacing. With partners such as Stafford Motor Speedway, the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, Five Flag Speedway, Speed 51, and more. When you want something done right, you go to the experts at Makoni Setup Shop.
With setups available for most series on both asphalt and dirt, built by a team of professional builders consisting of some of the top talents on the service, Makoni Setup Shop LLC has what you need to hit the track with confidence. Head over to MakoniSetupShop.com and learn why Makoni Setup Shop is the official setup shop of Richmond Raceway Esports and is partnered with some of the largest names in virtual and real racing. And remember, at McConey Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Don't forget to use code FADEDTV at checkout with the guys over at McConey Setup Shops for 15% off all products, subscriptions, and coaching. Get a little bit of a good deal there. And right now, McConey Setups, he was doing a huge giveaway over the weekend. Hopefully you guys saw that on Facebook. He was giving away $150 worth of setups over there. So McConey involved so heavily in iRacing, and just so glad to have him jump on as a partner here with Faded TV. Back to the racing. Al, Skylar Carnes, of course, still in first place. 10-second lead over Ileana. I don't know if there was something with pit strategy there, because Ileana has been holding on to this 10-second gap now. I wish they would just be a little bit closer, because right now, Ileana, last lap, 46.71. Skylar Carnes, a 46.76.
Yeah, I'm sure Hamilton wishes he could close that gap on Carnes a little bit and put some pressure on him, but he's got to keep his head. He's got to know that a second place is going to be real valuable in the points, and he can't push too hard. He's got to hope that Carnes makes a mistake. Same thing with Pericini. He's chasing down Hamilton. Sexy Waltrip, number in the 7 car. That's where his nickname, by the way. I don't know if anyone out there knows that, but he's having a great run. And Brugg still trying to make some time, but I'm showing him 41 seconds back of the lead, and 10 seconds behind Sexy Waltrip.
Yeah, and speaking of Sexy Waltrip, in that 7 car, actually did have the fastest lap 2 laps ago. So if only we were a little bit closer and not so spread out. These guys who aren't named Skylar Carnes really starting to come alive here with just 15 laps to go. Unfortunately, only 58 laps here tonight. But again, just going back to the last road course, you can really tell these guys putting in a lot of practice on the road course racing. Iowa on the infield there, maybe not as big or technical as some of the other road courses, but it's really good to see just the jump from Laguna to here. You bring up Johnny Bruggs, up 15 spots. He is inside the top 15. I'm sure he'd like to get on the podium here tonight, but Al, he's about 12 seconds off Kyle Gretsch.
Yeah, I mean, he may have burned his stuff up trying to come through the field. I know he had to pit for tires, and obviously he got some new rubber, but he's had to really drive the heck out of that car to try to make up the position starting from the back. So he may have used his stuff up and maybe looking at a 5th place. And he may not be unhappy with that, considering he did start in the back.
Alrighty, 14 laps to go. This is the Cornfield Confusion 75. Skylar Carnes been leading every single lap. Ileana Hamilton with an impressive run. Matt Pericini in 3rd. Kyle Gretsch 4th. We just talked about Johnny Brugg climbing up to 5th. Behind him, John Campbell had a pretty solid run here tonight as well. The 53 of Tyler Merritt in 7th. Jacob Klinker in the 5 car. Al, as he continues to struggle, we're watching that live. It looked like the 5 car was really going to climb up through this field, but since then, after the pit stops, really struggling in the second half of the race.
I mean, these road courses can frustrate you. You make a small mistake and you feel like you have to make up for it, and you make another mistake and things just tumble down for you. Let's think about Mike McCuskey, who started up near the front of this field and had such a great run going. I see he's retired that car. He obviously had his own struggles tonight, which we've seen in the past, but boy, that kid is fast, but unfortunately he's retired the car.
Jason Benson, the 42 car, also was up there in the beginning of this race. Unfortunately, having some struggles of his own, drops back into 10th. John Crutchley behind him, quietly having a good night. If he finishes outside the top 10, some people might not look at that as the greatest performance, but he has climbed up 6 spots. He's right outside the top 10. There in 11th, Will Jester behind him in the 74. Gary Sargent finally climbing back up into what his a grid position was there in 13th. Same with Brandon Ward in the 348. So a lot of these guys very consistent. At least they can say that, and that's one thing that we've seen here tonight. 5 cars on the lead lap, but again, pretty much here at Iowa Road Course, Al, there's been a lot of good consistency out there.
Well, I know not being very skilled at road courses, my goal is always to stay on track, stay out of people's way, try not to put the car in danger, and look for that top 10, top 15 finish, and I consider that a win. So I think a lot of guys who may not be that comfortable on road courses, hey, they're looking for a 10th or a 12th, and they'd be quite happy to come away from that and look to gain points on some of the ovals they're more comfortable with.
Yeah, and of course, you know, the more skill you can pick up as a driver, it's only going to help you throughout the iRacing, you know, career, hobby, however some people look at this. So, and then people start learning about trail braking and what that is, and maybe somebody's motivated now to go get a load cell pedal, and it's just something that, you know, they can vest themselves in a little bit more, and I think that's what we've seen here with this league throughout the season. Right now, though, Skylar Carnes back up front. We're going to go on board in cockpit view. Next time around, we'll wait for Skylar to get back out of this final turn before entering the oval course, and we'll take a lap around Iowa Road Course from the current race leader, Skylar Carnes. Trying to put Johnny Brugga lap down here, Al. How about this?
Yeah, it's just crazy how fast this kid is. It's he came into the league a few seasons ago. He was sort of a mid-pack driver, and something clicked with this kid a couple of seasons ago. He started racing with us full-time mid last season. He almost caught Brugg for the championship, and he's just continued. And look, I don't know what he found. I don't know how he found it, but he is just fast, and he's fast everywhere.
Well, he's cheating. All right, clearly. We got to start bringing his car down to the garage area after these races and do some weigh-ins right now. But yeah, you're right. And you know, it's good to see somebody like that, you know, starting off as a little bit of a hobby, and now who knows what he might be in the next year or two as he continues down his iRacing career.
Yeah, I mean, the whole league, you know, we're all pulling for him. We'd love to see him go on to bigger and better things. It'd be great to be able to say we knew Skylar when. So yeah, look, best wishes for them, and he's certainly teaching us how to race fast week after week. I do want to give a quick shout out to Crutchley, who's up from his 17th starting position to 11th. That's a terrific gain. So good job for him. He's having a really solid day.
Yeah, and that's the 48 car there of John Crutchley. They're in 11th, about 12 seconds behind Jason Benson, but a good run nonetheless. Sargent finally finding himself in the positives here tonight. He climbs up to that 12th position. Will Jester behind him, Brandon Ward 14th, and Scott Kelly in 15th. So with 7 laps to go, of course, we've been green this whole way due to no toads, not running cautions here on road courses, which is always the best idea. Or else we'd have cautions, you know, every lap we'd be pulling out a caution. Let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of these off tracks. We'll go ahead and catch up with what happened with Brandon Ward here in the 348. Coming down, again, that part of the track that we've been emphasizing all night long. Just spins out a little bit. Nice recovery, though, by the 348. This is Ken Olsen in the 51 car. Okay, and this was right behind the 348. So I think, and sometimes, Al, when you're out there, whether it's an oval track or a road course, you use the car in front of you a little bit. They call it that rabbit car or that chase car, if you will. And what we saw there was the 348 going in a little bit too hard, which caused the 51 to do the same.
Yeah, that's a pretty common thing to see. You follow a car into a corner, and next thing you know, you're on the rear bumper. Boy, the 5 is really struggling right now. I think Klinkhart's used up his tires. He's having a real hard time keeping it straight on the track.
Yeah, still holding in 10th there as you see him recover with 5 laps to go. And maybe, who knows, maybe on these road course races, we'll have to talk with Sarge in a private conversation, but maybe we will have to bring in a stage break on these road course races, because there have been some cars that have been running some really fast lap times here, which I think would have been competitive here towards the end. Just just a thought. But I think it would add a little bit to these road courses, especially for the broadcast here. This is James Lawson in the 66. He found himself in some trouble a few laps ago as well. And again, Al, it's all come down to that first turn coming off that front stretch. Oh my goodness, he's actually reverse on the field there. That was dangerous by the 66 car.
Yeah, that's a head scratcher. I'm not sure what James was thinking. He's since retired that car, so he may have had enough for the night.
Fair enough there. Michael McCuskey just a few laps after that in the 22 car. He's had a pretty good campaign here. You see Tyler Merritt in the 53 ducked down on the inside, and they just didn't give enough room there for each other. So that happened on lap 33. We'll catch up with David Rhodes here, the 21. We saw that live, so we don't need to talk about that much. Jaden Conster, lap 34 in the 34 car, rocking the U.S. Air Force.
Yeah, for as far as your stage racing idea, Brandon, you just leave me out of that conversation, because I would ban all road courses if I were in charge.
So we know where your vote would lie when it came to that. Here's the 42 car of Jason Benson getting on that strip there, that rumble strip a little bit. That takes all traction away. We've seen that a couple of times here this evening as well. Johnny Brugg had himself a little bit of incident in the red. Let's see what happened with him in the 1 car, which I guess would explain why he lost a ton of time as well. And Al, you really don't see a whole lot of mistakes coming out of that 1 car.
No, but like I said, he probably used his stuff up and burned up those tires just trying to get himself into contention. So that's a big ask to come from the back at a road course. It's something you see a little more frequently on ovals, but on a road course, boy, it's a heck of a drive by Brugg, no matter what ends up tonight.
So we have made it to our final lap. Skylar Carnes through the infield section for the last time. It's been a dominant performance from the 47 car. He could sweep the road courses here at No Toad Racing League in the 20th season. He's got one more turn to make. Coming out of that infield back onto the oval portion and taking the checkered flag. In the Cornfield Confusion 75, Skylar Carnes, your race winner. Ileana Hamilton, or Ileana, excuse me. Illy, sorry about that. Crossing the finish line in second. A good run, Al, by that 72 car.
And very consistent, right? He sat up there in second or third the entire night.
Absolutely. Matt Piracini doing his thing there in third, just crossing the line. Kyle Gretsch coming out in fourth. We talked about him a little bit here tonight. A good run. He qualified sixth, found 2 spots, finishing inside the top 5.
Yeah, great bounce back for both Piracini and Gretsch. I think they both were in trouble during this race, and they kept their heads and kept kept moving forward, and good results for both those guys. I know Parasini and Gretsch will both be really pleased with that.
So that's going to do it. All the cars crossing the finish line. We'll get to the official results soon. You see Johnny Brugg up there with the 47 car. The 8 car making his way up there as well. A little bit of a celebration for these guys as Skyler and gang do the burnout. That's a good sight to see right there.
Brandon, this race just flew by. Is it always this easy to do broadcasting?
Well, it's you know, I mean, it's Iowa. You know, I'm gonna just leave it at that. It's Iowa. Not the most exciting track on the schedule, but it's always a good time up here, and hopefully you come back. I'm looking forward to calling a race with you on the ovals. Maybe a little bit more excitement tonight. It was a good race, and you know, it might not have been the most exciting broadcast that we've ever had here, but I think that's a good thing, right? On the road courses, there wasn't a whole lot of mistakes. There wasn't a whole lot of wrecks here tonight. Pretty much just everybody struggling with that first turn like we suspected they would off the backstretch. So to answer your question, I don't think so. I think this was a little bit of light work for your first broadcast.
Well, I'll take it. And I think it did give us a great opportunity to highlight some of the drivers we may not talk about a lot. So I really enjoyed that part of tonight's race.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and see if these drivers are ready for post-race interviews. Matt Piracini third, Ileana Hamilton second, and Skylar Carnes in first. And I think this most certainly isn't Matt's first podium, but I don't think it's Ileana's first podium either. Again, that 72 car really coming alive here as of late.
Looks to me like he's had 2 other top 5s and 5 top 10s so far this season. So real strong driver right through the schedule.
Pretty good run there by him right now. The 24 car of Matt Piracini joins us in the booth. Matt, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Hey, a pretty good run here tonight. Of course, anytime you can take a podium in a race is a reason to feel good about yourself, but especially at a road course. Talk to us a little bit about how much time you put in Iowa road course.
Are you kidding me? Getting a podium on a road course for me is like a win. I feel like I won the race. You know, I put quite a bit of effort into trying to get better at this track. You know, Skylar is just so good at these road courses, and you know, he's forcing me to have to really get better at them. So I'm really proud of it. Really happy we got a third with the Mid-South Sports Report Chevy tonight. And, I mean, it's a road course, a podium. I'm not going to complain.
Hey, Matt, it's Al here. Congratulations on your third place finish. That's terrific. There's a lot going on the track tonight, and it looked to me like you got into some trouble and maybe dropped down on the grid for a little while, but made a good recovery. Was that just a pit stop, or did something happen on track, Matt?
No, it was strategy. It was a pit stop. I had a crew chief with me tonight. We were trying to figure it out, and we figured out basically what was the absolute last lap that we could go before we had to pit, and that's when I pitted. I pitted there, and when I finished the race, I had 0.2 of a gallon left, so we cut it right to the very edge.
Well, congratulations. I know you were looking for an even better result to try to chip away at Skylar's lead on the championship race, but a real solid finish. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you, and I'm hoping to have Skylar's number here for the next 2, because now he's coming into my forte.
All righty, third place winner, Matt Piracini. Matt, as always, congratulations. Good talking to you.
You bet. Great broadcast, guys.
Thank you. Next up, going to be second place, Ileana Hamilton. And Hamilton, you got a copy?
Yep, gotcha.
So coming in here tonight, I believe qualifying P2. And that's
correct.
Yep, and that's where you end here tonight. Of course, we had green flag pit stops because it's a road course. We're not pulling cautions or anything out of there. So to be able to finish where you qualified, and of course that being a podium second place, got to be feeling pretty good here. When you were out there on the track, I mean, we saw a lot of people locking up brakes and stuff like that, but was it easy to maneuver through some of these lap traffic?
No, it was really hard. I feel like that's where I lost a lot of time and really struggled.
Hey, Speed, it's Al Corey here. Congratulations on your second place finish, bud.
Hey, Rafter, thanks, man.
Yeah, listen, you were right there the whole night. We kept watching the time difference between you and Skylar, and at points you chipped away. At one point, I think you were just a couple of seconds, but I think you had to pit. So, boy, talk about consistency. You didn't have Skylar's speed, but boy, were you consistent all night.
Yep, thanks, man.
Eliana, you got anybody you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my pops. Thanks, Dad.
Alrighty, Ileana Hamilton, a second P2 here tonight. Congratulations and good luck throughout the rest of the way.
Thanks, man. Take it easy.
A very soft-spoken Ileana Hamilton. And Al, I'll be honest with you, the more you broadcast, you will appreciate guys like that. Sometimes you give these people the floor in a race interview, and next thing you know, it's 4 minutes later. So I appreciate that, Ileana. Keep it up. But right now, Skylar Carnes, his nickname in the Discord is Taker. And Skylar, you take another one here at Iowa Road Course. You made it look easy there. Did you get a penalty down pit road?
No, not at all.
Okay, because it looked like you pitted relatively. You pitted twice here tonight, correct? Or am I crazy?
I only pit once on lap 30.
Okay, because I must have been tripping because I thought it had showed in my iRacing live timing that you had came down pit road, and then 3 laps later you came down there too. So we thought maybe your one mistake here tonight was a black flag, but that was our mistake. Nonetheless, you win the race here. Now, the guys behind you, I mean, Ileana Hamilton ran a very consistent night. We were looking at lap times, and Kyle Gretsch, I believe, at one point had one of the fastest laps here as well. But working your way through the field here at Iowa Road Course, you do sweep the road courses. I know we talked at Laguna Seca. You set that goal for yourself, and Skylar, mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished indeed. This is a shock to me. I'm not good at road racing, and coming into season 20 of No Toads, taking all 3 road courses it means something to me. It just means I've proven to myself that I can finally drive a stock car around a road course and actually have fun and race and enjoy it. Like it's a blast. It means a bunch, especially being in a league that's been around for 20 seasons, almost 20 years respectively, on and off. It's a true feat to accomplish something like that in a league like this.
Hey, Skylar, it's Rafter here. You got me?
I do got you, Rafter.
Hey, congratulations, bud. Hey, listen, you need to stop being surprised about anything you do on the track, especially after what we've seen you do in season 19 and season 20. So congratulations on that. I do want to sort of ask you if you think this seals the deal for the championship. I know coming into this race, Parasini was 40 points behind you, somewhere in there. With only 2 races left on the schedule, you feel pretty safe, pretty comfortable at this point?
I mean, I do feel pretty safe and pretty comfortable, but anything can happen in these leagues. I might have to miss the last 2 races, and then if I have to, then he can, if he wins both of them, he's got the championship right there. If, for say, I wreck out both races and he wins, he can still win. So it's not over yet. Even if he gets good top 5 finishes and I get the worst points possible, he can still have a shot at this. And I definitely think I just got to bring my A game these last 2 races, finish in the top 10. I've already got 6 wins this season, so now it's more of a cruise control. We're still going to try and get more, but just try to finish consistently in the top 10, especially at Kansas. I'm decent there going into Kansas, but with these ARCA cars and the rework on the track, now that it's multi-group racing, anything can happen. I definitely know at these mile and a halves, there's a lot more guys that just come alive. And Matt, Allen, Ileana, Johnny, Tyler Merritt, Kyle Gretsch. I mean, it's a toss-up. Like, somebody else can come alive. I know Jacob Klingkart, he's been getting a lot of speed recently in official series, so you can never count anybody out. One little caution, one little mistake can ruin a race. So I never count myself out until the old lady sings at Charlotte at the checkered flag.
And that is the prime example of what I was talking about, Al, before we brought Skylar in here. But no, I'm just kidding, Skylar. When you go back and rewatch the broadcast, you know what I'm talking about. But hey, I'm going to need you to take a step back on the road courses this Thursday. In fact, if you just wanted to miss this Thursday, that'd be fine with me. I won't ask any questions. But another dominating performance here, Skylar, Iowa road course. And it sounds like a race that you may have needed, with possibly missing the last 2 weeks of the season. I'm sure Matt Piracini's ears have perked listening to that. He knows it's go time. He's got some points to make up, but putting yourself in a really good position. Skylar, we know the paint schemes that you guys ran here tonight for your friend who's battling stage 4 cancer. Before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs, thank you, sponsors, things like that.
We definitely wanted to run a special scheme tonight because last Saturday we got the bad news for her, and it's been a detriment to everybody and all of her friends, including me. I've known her for a long time, and it just hurts, hearing that someone, we're really close to, and someone very young, very, very young, has been diagnosed with lung cancer at that age. This one definitely, the win is 100% goes to Nina, and it also 100% goes to my spotter's grandmother who passed away in 2006 from lung cancer, Josh Zintek. So Donna Zintek, up in heaven, that one's for you too. And for Epsilon 11, because she's a part of our unit in the foundation, we're Epsilon strong. We're going to get through this. We're going to, fight as long as she can. And she's going to definitely fight and keep fighting. We put on the back, all cancers matter. It doesn't matter, lung cancer, all that. We need to find a cure for all. So anybody who's been affected by this, the win goes out to you too. I definitely want to thank my teammates in RSR for helping me with this as well. Johnny Brugg, Tyler Merritt, and Jaden as well. He also ran a special scheme tonight with his deceased family members from cancer. They all burnt it down with me at the end, just to put a symbol on the car. And we also put a mountain on our car as well to show, battling cancer is like climbing a mountain. It's a tough fight, but if you do, make it to the summit, it's something worthy to, keep your life and do everything about. It's a worthy accomplishment at that point. You fought cancer and lived, and it's something to, it just takes a toll on people. And I definitely want to thank all the fans of the 47 crew out there tonight rooting for me. I want to thank you two for putting on the broadcast, an excellent broadcast as always, week in and week out. I want to thank No Toads once again for being around this long, and Wayne for inviting me to this league. It's been a blast ever since, and I've made friends for life in here. With that, guys, thank y'all so much.
Yep. Congratulations, Skylar. We'll talk to you next week. That's race winner Skylar Carnes. Al, Corey, your first iRacing broadcast. It was at the Cornfield Confusion 75 here at the Iowa Road Course. Thoughts so far, or thoughts not so far, but thoughts overall about the race we've seen here tonight?
Yeah, it pretty much unfolded like I expected. I didn't see a whole lot of surprises. I was glad to see some guys make it through the race and get a solid finish. Seeing Carnes up top was not a surprise. I wish I had got a chance to ask Brugg why he didn't qualify. This race might have been a lot different had he not started dead last.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll just finish on that note real quickly. Just some really good racing out there. And for the drivers who do go back and listen to these interviews or go back and watch the broadcast, really just 2 thumbs up, everybody in this league, from what we saw from Laguna Seca to what we saw here at Iowa Road Course. Just a phenomenal job. Very pleased with the racing out here. Maybe not the most sexiest broadcast, but me and Al will certainly make up for that next week. For Al, Corey, I'm Brandon Robinson. We're going to leave you guys with the race sponsor video as we exit out. Take care of each other. Take care of yourself. We'll see you next time here with No Toad Racing League every Sunday.